Hear that?
Okay.
Fine.
0.
Haha, there we go. Are we starting recording now?
Yeah.
We are recording.
And we are live.
Can we ask viewers if they can hear you? There's some delay.
Yes. Can everyone hear us? We start with our first team stream, XUSD,
I think we should give some time for people to join it.
but we record that. So I think we can just start.
Everyone is joining.
We have, yeah.
Yeah.
Are we? Yeah, we are live and we see
Yes,
people.
they can hear us.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Oh, great.
So everyone, welcome to XUSD first team stream, a live update from Phuket, Thailand at the crypto hub. Here is a fantastic place. So people who come to Phuket, truly recommend to come here and have a look. We have been here now for a week together working on the XUSD protocol, and we were thinking it's a good idea to do a stream where we can talk further about what we're trying and will achieve with the protocol and also where we are now. Short introduction to XUSD. So this is a new, fairly new protocol on blockchain. Have been in the making for quite many months now. I would say started already like 4 or 5 months ago to really develop a protocol that also are in line with our ecosystem, the Pulse chain ecosystem, and Richard Hart especially philosophy, and that is when it comes to delayed gratification is a big part. Of course, our mission is to reach the peg 1-to-1, and to achieve that, there is some core elements in the protocol. One of the key elements is something called the Vibe system. And that is a system which is beneficiary to good actors along to the way to the peg. And that means for holders that is holding, doesn't dump, actors that is providing LP in our vaults, pools, and so on, can also gain good vibes. And this system with vibes also gives rewards when the protocol is in the final stage and the minting protocol takes place, which will pay out rewards based on the transaction and so on. That is one big part, of course, as our community can see that we put a big effort into the vaults, which is basically all major communities on Podchain can add LPs. Of course, the core coins have a big part. But also one of our biggest pools is, for example, PDAI. So we are very close and strongly believe in the PDAI narrative as well. And with Hart's law that liquidity pools raise together, we believe that this will also gain XUSD a much faster way to the peg. Of course, there is a lot of other things in this protocol. I will do a short introduction of the team that is sitting here today. And of course, here to my left here first is many people know him as Surfacing, which is a quite famous dev, have worked quite closely and really the person that I have experienced that knows, especially when we're talking about Maria Dev, he's worked very closely on the Dysomia and Atropa ecosystem as well. And have been with the protocol from the beginning, together with myself in developing, but of course surfacing, and his dog's name is John Weber, so everyone knows that, that as well. And John will go further in to his vision and his structure with the code for XUSD, but it's, as I said, a very, very sophisticated code structure using some components of Maria's coding as well, but I will let John go into that himself as well. And then we have a beautiful woman here, Kathy, who is from Europe and is from Vilnius University, a real genius as well, a math genius, I would say. In Mensa as well, very high in the Mensa network, and basically in charge of both the developments in XUSD, close with the codes and especially with the algorithms when it comes to the inflation and the contraction that I hope people in the community have read in the docs, that is one of the main parts of the way to the peg, is to with the inflation of the contract, the expansion, as we say, because inflation many times is not a very good word of using. We say expansion, and then we have the contraction part of the contract. And of course, there is a lot of mathematic formulas that needs to be implemented. And I'm very happy we have Kathy involved doing these calculations. But of course, this is also very close to the coding in the protocol as well. But I will, after this introduction, we can go further into those areas. And then we have Nikki, I would say the Viking Nikki. Looks like taken from the Viking movies, but he is a really intelligent man as well, and have been working with previous liquidity protocols, and also have great knowledge in Aave and other protocols on that is pretty much related in our ecosystem as well. Have worked a lot in community management in those protocols, and also have a very good background in explaining tokenomics and so on. And currently Nikki is working on making the docs more educational, more readable to understand, especially these fundamental parts in the XUSD protocol. So this is our introduction. I will let everyone just talk a little more about those areas that I just mentioned. So maybe start with John here.
What was my plan to talk to?
It was me. No, I took it.
Next.
Okay, Nikki.
Yeah. I have this my little list here so that I don't forget things. Hello everyone. My name is Nikki, and well, since we're all doxing here, Nikki Noordzij, if you're able to pronounce that Dutch name. I have a lot of, Anders already said, and thank you for that introduction. I have a lot of experience with community management and with protocol tokenomics so far. I'm also creating another protocol myself, but I'm not going to shill that here. But I'm also very experienced with the human psyche in general, as I've worked in psychiatry for a long time and in recovery, drug recovery, and stuff like that, as a therapist and more. And I actually know how to teach de-escalation. So, let's hope that I can be a good community manager here. Usually, I'm also quite good at public speaking if I know what to talk about, and managing groups in general. Um, so what I do here is use all of those skills to the best of my ability to support this team. I'm the Benjamin here. I'm the newest, and I came in specifically for those tasks. So I'm using my managerial experience to well, basically I am going to use my managerial experience to talk with the moderators and to direct that a little bit more. So far, they've been going very well on their own, so no complaints here. But I would like to form that a little bit more into more of a cohesive team. Other than that, I'm also using my tokenomics experience to really grasp the core of the tokenomics as well as possible from the people who design it, John and Caddy, so that I can basically translate that into a proper educational format. And that's what I've been doing in the last couple of days, and that's what I'll be doing in the coming couple of days. And I'm going to use that for the documents, basically. But I'm also going to use that for the AMAs with John. So whenever I see certain questions come up, and I'll just repeat it here, if you do have questions that you would like to have answered more extensively, then please DM me and say that it's an AMA question, and I'll put it up in the next AMA and basically grill John until he answers it right. Um, so on the docs, what I've done so far is to look it over and recreate it into phases. And because it's not always clear like where we are right now and what our plans are for the future. And so what I've done so far and what will be published soon is a genesis phase first, which actually is already over, then a distribution phase, which we are in right now. Then, and this I'm very happy about, the surfacing phase, because that's where we surface to our normal price level, which we still call PAG right now. And that's where we basically switch off all the expansion and but leave the contraction. But other than that, there are going to be more mechanisms that are going to help us reach that level. But John will absolutely speak a little bit more on that and also how things work right now and how they're going to work soon. After that, we will have the operational phase where actually the protocol will work as intended, but still under our control. And this is where Caddy will speak a lot. This is what Caddy will speak a lot about, basically the oscillation movement and how that's conceptualized and how that concept will work itself into actual mathematical equations so that it will work, basically. That the expansion and contraction works to support the protocol and by extension the entirety of the pulse chain. And then after that, we'll have the last phase, which is going to be the decentralized phase where we, as soon as it's safe to do so, release all of the controls to the community, because that's the whole point, that this is a protocol for the community, from the community. So we have this whole vibe pass structure of voting that is going to, it already exists. The vibes already exists and the vibe pass already exists, but the whole voting structure is going to make sure that it's all in the way that it serves the entirety of the community best. At least, you could assume so when most votes vote for a certain thing. And the other aspect, of course, what's going to happen is the war rooms that are, or actually, it's a war room where the brightest minds of the pulse chain, at least if they accept the invite, come together to discuss how to tackle specific issues that have to do with our protocol or how to adjust with the times and stuff like that. And well, I'm really happy with that. I'm really happy to be on board here, and I'm very happy to to work not just with this wonderful team, but also with a wonderful community, because I've noticed so far that people are really interested in how things work. People are really interested in the actual tokenomics. People really would like to dig deep. And I must say, I've not always seen that. There are so many places in DeFi where people are just happy to ape in, so to speak. And we would, as a team, be really, really lucky if they read the first page of the docs. So the fact that this community is so involved and so interested really makes me very happy, because that means that my work makes sense. And I think that is the best anyone could hope for. So with that, I'm giving the mic to John.
Okay.
Go for it.
Alrighty. And remind me again what I was supposed to be talking about.
As far as I know, you were going to talk about what the protocol is currently doing and what you're doing.
And then pulse and everything.
Yeah, the goals and stuff like that.
Alright, yeah. So I was busy setting up the microphones and everything, so I didn't get the rundown on that aspect just yet. But yes, so the Genesis phase is over, but that is more so because we're just changing the wordage of it. The current structure and stuff like that right now is not going to be changing, at least this second kind of thing. I noticed that question in the chat. But yeah, so the way the protocol works, and what's going on right now is we're still working, with the trading rewards, and we're still compounding all the rewards into the vaults. And the vaults are really cool because they essentially sell off rewards and they make more LP tokens. And so the way the LP tokens kind of like work in that regard, like I know I have a couple of accounts where I've just set up and just watched the value of the LPs in the vaults, and they've stayed pretty close to the same kind of price, maybe going up a little bit and down just a little bit, but not as much as if you just held the XUSD token kind of thing. So it's pretty good when it's fighting against volatility as well. And it also helps the protocol because right now in this phase, we're making mass liquidity. So that's really good and it's really helpful for protocol and your own wallet kind of thing. So I guess those are the vaults. The way the whole theory of the protocol kind of works, I guess I'll dive a little bit into that. Is that like we have a vibe system, and the vibe system really just calculates your vibe score, which is a direct correlation to the amount you pay in taxes per transfer. And that transfer tax, what happens is that 70% of it gets burned immediately, 30% goes to the treasury for funds for marketing and everything. And the reason why we have that like huge burn amount is because that is our main point of contraction in the supply. And the way, well, like elastic DeFi works is that you have contraction and expansion. So the supply number never stays the same. It's elastic, and it's supposed to be, well, for us, it's going to be representative of the demand of the token itself. So once we get to a certain point and we turn off the current distribution of the token, the burning will overtake the kind of supply itself, and the demand with the burning will then increase the price. Simple economics is supply and demand. You cut the supply and demand, and then demand stays the same or goes up, the price will go up. And so that's how we get to peg, essentially. But yeah, so the vibe system itself, I guess that's just a simple rundown of like the contraction aspect of it and why we have the taxes or the vibes in our system, because it's important to help get us to peg. The vibe system itself are very modular in a way. And it's really cool because it's set up so that anybody can propose. Well, actually, you have to have a vibe pass first, and we'll get into that. But you can propose these vibe classes, which essentially determine what is going to be your vibe score or tax on transfer. And they can be anything as long as as long as they fit to a set template, if you will, or library, I guess. And what it does is that it allows any developer on chain to, propose these classes that help determine your score. So that can be from, let's say, staking in a certain staking pool, holding a certain number of tokens, anything that they wish. Now, it doesn't automatically just get put into the system. It actually has to be voted upon by bypass holders. And once it gets passed, it gets directly put into the system and it's live. So it's really cool because what this allows the community to do is take control of the kind of tokenomics aspect or the tax aspect of the system. So, like, for example, if there are known bad actors and the wallets have been tracked and whatnot, like it could be dinged with like a higher vibe score, or we call it giving them bad vibes. And so then they burn much more on transfer. So when they try to sell it, they won't get as much as they want, and so on and so forth. And so it rewards also the community because you can do it the other way around and give good vibes to good actors, lowering the vibe score and lowering the taxes per transfer. It's really cool too because when somebody first joins the system, they're going to get a set vibe score of like 500, so like a 5% transfer fee, and that allows us to create a buffer zone between new actors and current community members. And let's say somebody comes in and tries to do like a rug pull or something with another token paired to our token. By doing that, they have a higher vibe score so that it will cut into the profits kind of thing for when they do it. So it should help deter that from happening and thus protecting the community in itself, which is a pretty cool concept. We'll see how well that works out. I think it's been working fairly well so far. And yeah, we'll kind of see how that one goes along.
And just to, it's also true that if you want, or if the community wants, that they can even change the starting vibe score, right?
Yes.
It doesn't need to be 500. They can have a proposal to make it like 150. Like
Yep.
if we have a higher volume, that the trades become easier, stuff like that.
Yeah, and even like the caps on it, there can be caps introduced, like you can't go below a certain amount or can't go above a certain amount. It's all up to the community. Right now, we have a low cap of 200 vibes, but that can always be changed by the community once the governance aspect goes live. And so it's really cool because then it really puts it in the hands of the community. Before right now, we kind of have little guidelines in place just because we are so new and we don't have the governance in place yet. And also because the governance isn't in place yet, we haven't really introduced so many super crazy vibes and whatnot because we don't want to just like force that kind of thing onto people, if that makes sense. And we want to wait till the governance aspect is live until we start proposing those kind of vibes. And so yeah, it's pretty cool. I really like that concept. The bypasses are what allow you to do that or participate within the community aspect of the protocol and allow you to develop and propose vibes and vote on the vibes. Now, it also allows you to collect what we call seigniorage rewards, or the expansionary rewards once we're over peg. And the way that also works is that, well, the expansion aspect is not yet calculated out. We're still working on the formula for that. So we won't go into the expansion or like how much that expands, but the amount or the expansion, let's say, is a certain number. That amount gets divided by the number of bypass holders, and it's weighted by the amount that those bypass holders have burned individually. So you take the total number of burns for the entire bypass peoples, and then the number that you have burned with your bypass, because it only starts counting once you get the bypass too. So then it gets, distributed out through that. Now these rewards are going to be quite significant, if you will. Like there'll be a good amount of inflationary rewards, and because the protocol itself is built to last forever, this is a passive income that will last forever. And it's beneficial to users for like right now to get the bypass, even though we're not at PEG, because those burns will still count for when you get there. And because we have trading rewards, it just makes sense to kind of get it because you're constantly trading and you're constantly burning, and you're going to constantly be raking those burns in.
And even more so, something that Caddy mentioned and explained, at least to me. Sorry. Oh, yeah, that something that Caddy mentioned and explained at least to me is that if you have a bypass now and you burn a whole lot of tokens at this price, it's going to be very easy for you to create a very good amount of burns on your bypass, or at least what your bypass what's that records.
Yeah.
So that in the future you already have this wonderful score to go by. So the fact that we are at a low price right now actually allows people that have a bypass to make a lot of trade at this price so that they burn a lot, and that's going to be good for you in a delayed gratification manner.
And so I know probably a lot of what I said probably went over a lot of people's heads, but this is why we have Nikki here to do our documentations.
That's
And I'll just talk, I guess I'll talk just a quick brief bit about my history in DeFi, and the experiences I've had with seniorish kind of protocols. That's pretty much all I've done in DeFi since day one. It's just always interested me, and I've really kind of like honed in on it. So I've had a lot of experiences even getting other protocols up to PEG. We've taken, like, I think almost all three of us have been in the seniorage circus or participated in their AMAs and whatnot, which is they're the leaders and or leading leaders. That doesn't make sense, but they're like the leaders in Elastic DeFi, and they have a lot of knowledge in this aspect, and we've kind of participated and listened to them for quite a while. And so we have a lot of knowledge when it kind of comes to this, and we have a lot of ideas and theories that will help us get to PEG, maintain PEG, and just this is pretty much all we think about. So I'm going to toss this over to Caddy, and she can do her little spiel.
All right. So I guess it would be appropriate right now to talk about what do we have in vision for PEG. Because it's going to be quite unique. What we are essentially trying to work out is a pretty complex model of quantum harmonic oscillator. I know that it might be not familiar for most of you what that is, but essentially when we talk about any kind of oscillator, we just think about vibrations. Something goes up, it comes down. And that is one of the most fundamental laws of the universe. That is really permanent, and since we are aiming to create something that is permanent, we want to be ready for it. So one of the key aspects for quantum harmonic oscillator is essentially excitations. When we think about atoms, we think about energy levels, and we think about excitement. We think about electrons getting excited and jumping to the next energy level. And we kind of figured that we could use this principle to create a mechanism that would stabilize us on $1. So instead of being classically like other algo stables pegged to $1, instead we're going to be normalized around $1, following the quantum harmonic oscillator rules and excitations. And how that can translate to is essentially about community excitement. Community gets excited, they push the price to go up. Community gets even more excited, they push the price to go even more up. When we experience some sort of a selling pressure, the excitation starts losing down, then we bring the price back down. This way, we create a very dynamic environment in how we can maintain PEG, essentially using liquidity management tools as well as some sort of math to play around the tokens. And we are very excited to be working on that. And I am sure we will create something amazing with it. And yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. What I would like to say regarding the XUSD protocol, which I am really fascinating about, and especially these starts that have now been, I think, 8-9 weeks been live. Yeah, 12. The time goes quickly. And that is that we see, for example, the TVL in the volts is actually almost the same, or certainly around the same as an you'll see if we can get the people quiet there. We see, yeah. It's start to be a little lively here at the Crypto Hub. Yeah. So the TVL.
Let the mic take care.
Yeah. The Viking takes care. So the TVL, for example, this is fascinating. That the total market cap, if you go in and have a look in the market cap of XUSD, is almost the same as the TVL in our vaults. And why is this so fantastic in our ecosystem? That means that with, as we said in the beginning, with Hart's law, means that if, for example, which we strongly believe that Richard is behind the Maker protocol on Pulse Chain, and that the PDI, as we say, the narrative is true, that means that XUSD will raise with the other assets on Pulse Chain. So especially now when, as I said, the market cap is as low, I think, 1.1 million, and so that means that we even have a higher TVL.
We have almost 2 million in
liquidity. Yeah, 2 million. So it's almost double. So that's even better. And so this is massively. Plus that, I would say another huge, unique selling point of XUSD is that we have 120x to the peg. So that means a lot of value to gain. And we are not, absolutely not, any that we are XUSD is any like competition or anything with the PDI or anything. We strongly believe that we are all in Pulse Chain are in the same boat and will gain with this. Plus that as this amazing code that Surfacing have worked on is taking really in the core philosophy of holding crypto beneficiary to good actors in the ecosystem, not these pump and dumps and so on. And if there are actors that is doing that, that means that the taxation rate increases, and that benefits everyone in the ecosystem. So those things which I strongly think is like the key success factors of the XUSD protocol. We have other like amazing things as well, and that means that, for example, this taxation that we are talking about that is happening now on the phase to the peg, that is not what is going to be after when XUSD works as a a stable asset on Pulse chain, because then, as we discussed, then of course the whole protocol will be completely decentralized. There will be an addition to the protocol, which called the minting protocol, and that's why I am also personally why I've been involved from the start in XUSD as the founder of Love.io, which was the first project launching on Pulse chain. That means that other communities on Pulse chain, if voted in, can then also have their token as an asset and a collateral in the minting protocol when further minting of XUSD will take place. And this is extremely good, because that means that you have an asset that can then not be dumped, because you can basically have it as a stable asset in the protocol, which of course that's also one of the reasons why we are providing one of the highest liquidity to XUSD as well, to have this. So we see it as an inclusion. We have in the LPs, as you can see in the vaults, is basically all major communities on Pulse chain. So everyone can participate and be included in the community. So that have been one of our main goals of the protocol. It's like everyone will be included. If you have other assets on Pulse chain, we strongly recommend that you put in the LPs as well, and so on, the bigger LPs. Of course, the stronger and the leverage with these as well. It's so much more, and I'm really looking forward to having more of these meetings with the community. I don't know, should we ask if there are any questions maybe?
Yes.
All right. Let me see.
Questions. Anders looks like he will live forever.
Oh, that's very nice of you.
Eternal youth.
Oh, you XUSD and love.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we are so clear that there's no questions.
No.
Everybody understands everything.
Yeah.
I think it's if there are questions, just type them in chat.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the YouTube chat.
And also, as you know, that Surfacing, he is in as well as often as he can in the chat, so you can catch him there as well. Always there answering questions and so on.
So marketing.
Marketing.
So marketing, yes. It's actually doing great, to be honest. We really want to get the docs finalized and out in a more readable format, because once we start marketing, people are going to want to look and read the docs. And if they're not clear and concise and understandable, then it's just not going to work. So it's going to be coming here shortly. Do you want to speak a little bit on that aspect?
I can just add one thing with that too, is that Surfacing and also Kathy is working on the calculator, as we say. Not finished yet, but hopefully soon. And this calculator basically will work as you can go in and calculate what kind of Vibe score you can achieve doing different actions in the ecosystem and so on. And then there will be another part or another calculator, which will basically be a calculator of ROI. What is the future in possibility investments? As we say, is that having a vibe score is a good thing, but you can also earn passive income. And what will this passive income be? So that will all depending on the transaction volume, and also just to make sure that people understand that this high tax is only now on the phases up to the peg. But after the peg is reached, then there will be a community vote that will basically vote on what will the transaction fee be per transaction. And that can be like 0.5% or 1%. And then it depends on what will the volume be of XUSD on Polchain. And the experience that we know is, of course, stable assets have a very high volume because it's very usable. You have a great utility in it. And we believe that XUSD can be one of the major stable assets on Polchain. And if we are looking at, for example, a potential for easy maths, $100 million volume per day. And if you have like 0.5% or even 1%, if that is acceptable by the community voted, then that means like up to $1 million in value can be going back to the vibe holders. So if you have been on the ride up to the peg, you have been a good actor, created good vibes and accumulated. That means that you can receive like passive income of your crypto and your vibes. So this is a massively unique opportunity in the protocol. And as we say, we are working on to have like calculators. So then the community can go in and say that what is my potential passive income if I achieve a certain vibe score and so on. So and as we say, marketing, we will push marketing more and more, as John Singh just said, that we want to have like all the information very educational as people understand, and then of course we will push it. It have been a little, if we should have some self criticism, is that we maybe been like too fast in developing and not really been able to have like all the information about the protocol and everything ready for the launch. But these things of course is in the making and so on, and then marketing and so on will be pushed even further.
Yes. I'll take the next question. Do we have a timeline on when you might expect different price points, etc.? So I would say, obviously, when we turn the inflation off, we do expect a slingshot effect for everything to go up, but the distribution phase coming to an end. And essentially, another important narrative to mention is obviously pulse chain pumping, because that is one variable that we cannot really predict when exactly that will happen. However, we do know that it will happen. So that should certainly push the price upwards. And we do anticipate that to happen within the coming half a year or so. Even faster, probably. Yes. Yes. So both of those factors should be taken into account when considering about the price points of XUSD, because we can never really know when the pump will happen.
And I can maybe add something there too. So, and we have followed very precisely, I would say, with when Polchain, assets, vols, and so on going back. Then XUSD also have retraced, but the fundamentals that we see is extremely good. As we said, like we have now a higher TVL in than market cap. So that means that more raise in pulse chains assets. That also means a higher raise in XUSD. And one amazing thing with the code is the contraction, and the burning rates have been fabulous up to now. So when we see like big price movements that we had upwards, then of course the burning also increases, which is extremely good. So so the fundamentals are really here.
And I can take the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so the next question, or
The vibes.
yeah, can you explain how to receive good or bad vibes? And I'll let Nikki talk about the distribution one here in a second. But yeah, can you explain how to receive good or bad vibes? So currently, right now, the way to receive good vibes is by buying the token, and the way to receive bad vibes is by selling the token. I think that is the primary vibes that are active currently. Once we get the governance set up, there'll be more introduced to the system. We just wanted to get that set up first so that everybody can vote those in. But yeah, so currently good vibes, buys token, bad vibes, selling token, essentially.
What did you want me to talk about?
The
The next question,
distribution.
Oh, okay.
And I know we discussed
when is the end of distribution? Any estimate on how many months left?
I don't think that's going to be in months, actually. It has to do with having all the protocol aspects of the next phase ready. Because we've actually already distributed at least the minimum that we wanted to distribute. We are absolutely not yet at the maximum that we wanted to distribute, but we are sort of in the range of where we're comfortable with the amount of distribution that we start with. Because, and I put it that way because once we reach our desired price point, normal or pack, as we still call it, once we get there, of course, there will be more distribution, but it will be via the bypass with the expansion that is planned. However, the current distribution in the distribution phase is a specific thing. And originally, we had a lot of narrative about distributing an entirety of 1 billion tokens. We've let that go. We are already in the desired range of distribution. So it has to do with getting ready for the next phase, and this is of course me finishing the docs. This is John finishing the calculator, but this also means getting, for example, what we call the minting protocol that needs to be done, like everything that needs to be done for the next phase, so that we can switch off the distribution and go purely for contraction. As soon as we have that ready, we start, and then we'll see how long it takes. But yeah, that's basically, that shouldn't take months. Go ahead.
And also one thing that needs to be added when it comes to the distribution and, like we say, the expansion of the contract, that is really close to the rewards in the vaults. So that a lot of the distribution is going as yield in the big pools in the vault. So that means when the LP increases and more liquidity is LP'd, that of course also increases the rewards going out. So this is something that is works really good, because as we say with Hart's law, the more LP, more TVL, that means like, yes, more XUSD is going out, but at the same time it's also increasing the value of XUSD, because other assets and so on is correlated. And that also answering some of the questions here when it comes when will the peg happens. It is we are so embedded in the pulse chain ecosystem. So when it will happen, of course, if PDI peg in a few weeks' time, then maybe XUSD could peg the same amount of time, you know. So it is, of course, a question how pulse chain pumps and so on. But the fundamentals in the code is first, it benefits holders. So that means that we don't have the same problem as maybe others have when people have made like 3x on their investment. Maybe they dump, take the profit. Here, every investor have to think twice that, okay, if I'm start to sell now when I have made those 3-4x's, because the taxation and so on. And if they decide anyway to dump when they have made, then that will benefit the rest of the community because there will be a higher burning and so on. So, so the fundamentals in the code is really gaining. But then, of course, we are in the pulse chain ecosystem. All assets is related, the vaults and so on. So that will depend. But regarding the code is there is, as I see it, you know, like fantastic, amazing code to make this happen.
So the question about the one swap pools and when they will be fixed, they will, how do I say, we pretty much have it fixed, I guess. I just have to get it situated with the right front end and everything and push it live. So it shouldn't be too much longer for that. We've just been pretty busy here getting everything set up, getting, you know, to know each other, figuring out our plan for the future and kind of all that stuff, while Constantine, our other developer, has been working pretty hard at getting all that kind of stuff fixed and really like making a lot of headway on all that kind of aspect with like the numbers getting correct number feeds in and making sure it doesn't like get stuck, if you will, and making everything much smoother. I just have to go in and, you know, make it work and push it live essentially. And calculator, yeah. So it's a calculator imminent. We are pretty close on the calculator, at least part of it. I don't want to really give a date because there are a lot of holidays and everything kind of coming up. So I don't really know when, but it should be, I mean, it's pretty close. Pretty close.
Almost finished. I actually just need to
Add a couple more things on.
make it more simple for people to use. Actually, that's the case. Because currently it's done, but it's a little bit more complicated than we would like it to be.
Yeah. Sorry.
And about 1 billion tokens, maybe if I could take that. We can hit 1 billion tokens because the supply upon reaching the peg will be elastic. Oh, right. Yes. It was not really a question. It was a statement. So maybe we cannot hit 1 billion tokens. So our answer to that is we probably will not hit that during the distribution phase. As a matter of fact, we won't. But as XUSD as a whole has potential to have way more tokens than that, depending on demand, because the supply will be elastic.
Yeah, it depends, and of course, when the minting protocol is in place, then it will work as other protocols, like the Maker protocol works. That there will be like collateral that will be put in and so on, and so then, of course, we hope that XUSD will maybe have 1 trillion of XUSD. So the amount of tokens, of course, is no question there. But at this time, we are in an expansion and contraction phase, which means that this is algorithmically based. And as we say, like even if the contract is expansion, Yes, but mainly that is expansion to more rewards and so on in the LP pools. And then we gain, of course, with more TVL in the project is in XUSD. That means a faster way to the peg, and what everyone should look into, especially when it comes to investors, is of course looking at the market cap. And as I who look at that, is a fantastic that the protocol can have like 1.2 million in market cap, but at the same time have a TVL of locked of 2 million. So this is like amazing.
All right, so we got another question here. It is, could you pass a vote to have a percentage of taxes be used as a lottery system? And okay, well,
Just a sec.
just a sec. Are we good?
I don't know.
Did my phone die?
Are we still live? We back?
Oh,
we're back.
We're back.
all right, cool, we're back.
Back.
All right.
So now we can see anything.
So there was a question about how flexible the Vibe and voting system are. Here we go. All right, repeating the question. Can you pass a vote to have a percentage of taxes be used as a lottery system to incentivize more people to choose XUSD over other stables? How flexible will voting be as far as what we can propose?
I would also like to say something about it. after
Right.
that.
Right. So with the voting when it comes to the Vibe class system, the proposals for the Vibe classes only affect and pertain to the Vibe score themselves. So what happens with the taxes is already kind of like set in stone in a way. And it's it's supposed to pretty much mostly go to burns. And so, but what you can do and how flexible the system is when calculating the vibes is up to your ability and creativity. To be honest, it's very open ended. There are kind of things put into place to not like go over like a certain like vibe thing. But I mean, actually there isn't, because you guys can also then propose caps and like on either end of the vibe score type of thing. So it's pretty modular in that regard. And it can, whatever you kind of come up with. The idea behind that is because I can't think of everything and I don't want to think of everything. If we have everybody, or we have a bunch of brilliant people out there that can come up with things that can contribute to this. And that's really what I want it to be.
Yeah. And to continue on that, of course we have this wonderful
Yes, is it dead?
Oh, is your battery low?
I
Yeah.
know. Just slow.
Okay, are we back online already?
Where it's
Sound not good.
Sound not good.
Should be fine. Nikki,
Yeah.
can you hear us now?
I think I'm back.
yeah.
Okay.
Don't
I'm-
worry, you didn't miss anything. We stopped talking as soon as we.
As soon as we realized we were offline, we stopped talking. So
Sound. Can anybody hear us?
hello. Is the sound good?
Oh, there we go.
Yes.
Sounds good. All right,
Sounds
sweet.
good. All right.
All right, awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we were still talking about the question that basically, can we vote in a lottery system? And then John correctly said, well, that's not what the votes are about, but creativity can be added because we have a lot of contexts that also mean other developers, other tokenomists, and people that can basically design protocols. For example, I have a friend who has tokenomically designed a wonderful lottery system. Um, so if we have a desire to have other projects latch on to XUSD by using its token, for example, then such things can absolutely be combined eventually. It just needs a little bit of we're still good.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, okay. It just needs a little bit of creativity about like how do we assign tokens to a certain thing and stuff like that. But since the community is in charge, as soon as there's a good proposal for example, providing liquidity to another protocol, could be a lottery protocol, could be anything else, maybe a strategic gaming protocol or whatever. It doesn't necessarily have to be a specific thing. Then that is an option that can be decided on by the community. So please be creative and try to think of good proposals for the future.
Oh,
Like
thank you.
party.
No, it's like
Yes.
just no, it's not a question. It was just so funny when XUSD peg party in Phuket, and I'm but it's no, I don't want to say I had some funny ideas there, what people many times associate Phuket with, you know. So
Bingo.
we should go into
A
that.
peg party in Phuket.
That's not only the bad part.
Okay, so next question. How are volts calculated? For example, I zapped in one BFF and it was split 50-50 with XUSD. But now there's much less or much more XUSD and less BFF. So what's happening is that it's making the liquidity tokens, and with liquidity tokens, there's something called impermanent loss. I won't go into the math behind it, but it's essentially when people trade BFF for XUSD or XUSD for BFF, you add whatever amount of XUSD and then subtract whatever amount of BFF from the liquidity pool. And that's why that number is going to change up and down. Now, with the vault system itself, what it does do and what can help curb against that impermanent loss is that it sells rewards into more of the LP token itself, meaning more of both tokens get added to it. And so that can help curve that impermanent loss kind of thing. And it's a really cool system. Like I said, I have an account that I have a certain number in the LP and the volts, and it has pretty much stayed pretty like stable, to be honest. It's actually gone up, and that was before the main pump and even now, to be honest. So it's actually done quite well. Maybe I just picked the right pools to go into too. So that is also a thing. But yeah, no, that's how the LP works in that regards, and why do you see those kind of fluctuation in numbers within the vaults?
Oh, there seems to be no more questions so far, so we can give you guys a couple of minutes in case there's anything else you'd like to know.
I'm I'm just very happy that nobody so far has asked when Lambo. Thank you.
People just want to party and it's a community token. After all, you cannot fit the entire community in a Lambo, but you could fit everyone in Phuket probably.
It's true. That is true.
Cool. I don't know how to scroll this thing now.
Yeah, I think we hit the end. So I would like to actually show appreciation to all the team that has been working together this week and the community who seem to be really excited about the CMA that was happening. We've heard lots of positive feedback and really I appreciate all of you for supporting us, for believing in us, and I hope that the stream as well calmed some of you down in a way.
Or excited.
or excited you even more. That's a good way. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we end it there, yeah. And then, as we say, you can always find us online and so on. And until next AMA, I think is planned for next week or
Should think so.
Every
Yeah.
Thursday.
Thursday.
every Thursday. So please join in then. And until then,
Yes, just an important remark is that it's going to happen at this time, at the same time like this week, because we are all in this time zone for.
Oh,
yeah.
Not all, yes. but-
We'll figure that out.
Yes, we'll
Okay. Cheers, guys.
Bye.